Welcome to Black Walnut Farm. Willie here. In today's video, we're going to show you how I made my new bee barn. This is an insulated beehive using mostly recycled materials. First thing we have to do is make the base. So we're going to start off cutting four 4x4s to equal size. And here is the end result, 4 equal pieces of 4x4. Next thing we're going to do is notch the 4x4s so they hold a piece of 2x6 inside. My base will be square and it's going to sit on top and inside for better support. And here's the area that I will be taking out. And now I'm going to measure the sides, which will be 1.5 inches, 2x6 width. The reason I started building the bee barn or insulated beehive was because I've been a beekeeper for 8 years, and every year I was losing bees due to, which I think was mostly due to moisture problems. So I decided to build a beehive kind of like you build a house, an insulated house. I believe that it would give coolness in the summer and extra warmth in the winter so the bees wouldn't have to work as hard. And here I'm just gauging my depth of the wood. And now I'm going to run it across the saw several times to make all kinds of little cuts in it, and so I can hollow out that area. And after many cuts, you can see what the end result is. So that's where my base is going to sit inside on the 4 legs. Now I'm going to build the base. Okay, 4 pieces of wood. 2 are 13 inches long and 2 are 20 inches long. So when you put the 13s inside the 20s, you're going to have a base of 20 by 16. I am a contractor, and so most of my material is usually left over from jobs, which gives a repurpose to some cut wood. And here's the end result. Nice square box. And now I'm going to attach the legs. This is my version 2. I did a version 1 last year, and after using it for a year, I found, of course, some faults in it. Some things I could have designed better, and so on this version, I changed that. Now I just screw on the legs with some 3-inch wood screws. I think on my next attempt, I may try to make these legs adjustable. And here is the final product on the ground. And now I am getting some plywood to make a base out of. And here's the cut piece. Of course, you can see one piece wasn't going to make it all the way. So I actually had to cut 2 separate pieces to fit my base onto. Then, of course, we screw her down, make sure it's nice and snug. Now, the first portion that we're going to build is the garbage collection, or I put the diatomaceous earth in this area. I use a cafeteria tray to put the diatomaceous earth in to collect it, and then I can easily slide it out the back and clean it out. I could also use this an empty one for some sort of mite check if I decide to do that. I do want this to fit nice and snug, so all the garbage goes into the tray. So I just cut some pieces of wood so it fits nice and tight, and then I'll screw those down and put a front one in. There won't be one at the back because that's where you take the tray in and out. Now I like to build a spacer, so I'm just kind of making an area in between the clean out and my first box. I have to put a spacer over the back because I want to attach my mesh to it. Now I'm going to put in bee mesh or bee wire. It's really tiny holes so the bees can't get through and get down, but big enough for the garbage to fall down into. And then I'm just going to use my grinder to cut it to size. So I do have to give a shout out to Vino Farm. He gave me lots of good ideas when I first started. He was just building his first bee barn. He came up with the name Bee Barn, not me. And while now he's kind of transitioned to a vinyl or plastic kind of hive, I still prefer to use leftover wood and recycle as much as I can. I just find it more affordable. I'm a builder, so I have all the material that I need. The only thing I don't use that I do have to buy is the 2-inch insulation. Needless to say, check out his site. He's gave me lots of great ideas, and I ran with them. And then I'm going to use my grinder to clean up the outside, just any little bits of the screen that are sticking out, so I don't cut my hand on it over time. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to build our first deep or our first bee box. Right now I'm just cutting the bee entrance hole, which I believe I used 5 inches for the hole. And here you can see the finished product with the bee entrance on the front. Next, I'm getting out my Craig pocket hole maker. Craig does not sponsor me, but this tool is fabulous. I use it all the time. I think it is quite amazing. And now here we are. We can see it in action. And what it does is it allows you to attach 2 pieces of wood. Here we have 3/4 pine, and we're going to attach them vertically to each other, which, if you were to try to do this freehand, is not very easy without punching through. And here you can see the final product. I'm going to screw this down through the pocket holes and attach it to the top of the shims. So everything is connected together. This does not come apart. And we can look in and we can see our mesh. And there's the mesh right there. bees can't get through there. So in the summertime, it'll give them some ventilation. That's where in the back, you can see I forgot to grind off some staples that pop through. So I'm sure I will do that by the end of the video. And then we move around to the front, and that will be where the entrance will be. And you can see in the back of the hive, this is where the cafeteria tray goes in. Slides in nice and easy, except for those staples sticking down. Don't want to catch my hand in that. It's a very simple... Oh, and I did buy those. Those aren't recycled. Now on top of the deep, I'm going to put a medium. And again, screw it down through the pocket jig. So this is all one unit. This is not light, but it works well. And the reason I do this is because I use a double frame, so I don't have to take my boxes apart. When I want to check my hive, I can just reach in, pull 2 frames out, and you will see those frames at the end of the video. So right now I'm basically putting a ledge, but it's not really a ledge. It's a ledge that holds the insulation on, but it's more for protection of the insulation, because what will happen is little bugs and stuff or bees will try to go up into the insulation and make a home. So I put this ledge on to block any bugs or rodents or whatever from going up in there. And I do that all the way around, and I do it in height with the top of my legs that stick out. Next thing I have to do is I have to extend the hive entrance, again, to make a barrier between the hive entrance and where I'm going to put the insulation. I know for a fact that the bees will chew into this from my version 1 where I didn't do this. And every time I go out there, I see some insulation all around the hole. So this is going to hopefully prevent the bees from digging into the insulation. And now I'm cutting out the insulation just to get around that hole. This is for the front, for the bee entrance. And I'm using my easy cutter, best tool ever. And just going to pop that out and put it on. So you can see here that the insulation is protected. And then I screwed them on with fender washers, and that's 2-inch insulation. So you generally got to use a 2.5 to a 3-inch screw. It may poke through, and grind them off on the inside. So here's the insulation for the back, and you can see I keep the cutout because I'm going to use this later to insulate for the winter. I'm going to put that and fill the hole. I put a little piece of wood on the front and back with a handle so it fits in there pretty snug because that's where it came from. So I put that inside and save it. Again, we'll secure them with some fender washers. And now the whole thing is insulated. You can see around. I did leave a 1-inch gap at the top, and the reason for this is I don't want my lid and my insulation to line up in the same spot because air will get through there. So last year I went over the gap and put my lid inside. This year I'm doing it opposite. The reason is my cover sat down inside and was a pain to get out. And now we're building a top box. This is a fall winter box. We use this for feeding. And then in the winter we put some insulation and a couple of pillowcases full of shavings. And that helps with the insulating the bees. And it just goes right on top right here. In the summertime, this is where your honey supers are going to go. So you just take this box off and put your honey supers, and you got a little 1-inch spot there to play around with. And this box too, we're going to insulate, and we're going to bring it down so it covers the crack where the air goes through. And we're going to put that on with fender washers also. And here it is all done. You can pull it off, pull it on. The only thing I forgot, and I did make a mistake, is I forgot the lid, which will add an extra 1/4 inch. So I had to build the lid and bring my insulation down to cover, which is all right because it left me a little space on top right here, as you can see. And oh, it's not here, but left me a little space on top where my roof is going to go on, and a little overlap, which ended up working out well because I fixed both problems. And here I am building the lid. You can see I use plywood. I like it to be nice and sturdy because I do put my feeders on there, which is just ball jars. Um, the one thing I did like that Vino Farm did was use some plexiglass. So in the wintertime, you can always just take a peek and see that your bees are in there, they're alive, and you don't got to open the hive to do that. And then I drill a hole because that's going to be for feeding and also a little ventilation in the summertime. And then I put my little disc on, and that allows me to open up for feeding or close it so the bees don't go up in there for ventilation. So here it is, insulated. Top part comes off. Again, that's only for the fall and winter. Then you have your top board, inner cover, and then the bottom, which will have your frames. Again, mine will be double frames, which I'll show you later. There's the piece that I'm keeping for later. And then you can look inside, and that's where the tray goes, and where the bee mesh is. And now we're going to dress up the outside, weatherproof it. I use cedar. This is red cedar. I got this from my buddy Scott when his dad passed away. It was left over in his barn, so I only had enough for the front, and so I dressed it up pretty nicely with the red cedar, and then I did the rest with a lighter cedar for the back. And there you have it. There's the bottom all dressed up. So next we're going to dress up the top. There we go. Boom, boom. Already done. So that's just the top box. Now you can see I already did the sides, and I put a little landing on there in front of the door. Now this right here is a little door that for the winter time it goes down, and then which only gives you about 3/4 of an inch hole, and then in the summertime it goes up and it gives you a 5-inch hole. Something I will do on my new design is figure out a way to put a somehow to put a pollen trap on the front in the summer. Now this is just a little dress up for the bottom. I wanted to put the dress up on first because my back door is going to sit on that. And here's the back door now. Again, this is going to open so my cafeteria tray can go in and out. I want the door on there so in the summertime, mice will want to go in there and hang out and live. So at least the door keeps any critters out. If the beetles go in, hopefully they only make it to the diatomaceous earth and die. Now these pieces I'm putting on are an overlap for the top box and the bottom box. This just helps it sit snug, and when I put it on, it goes right into place how I want it, which helps a lot, as you can see. And I do that all the way around. You have the overlap. Here I am going to put the last piece. And there it goes on. And then just to show you how it lifts off, probably should put a couple handles on this too. Although I can get under the strip there, and you can see that overlaps. And again, it kind of blocks out also where the two boxes join and stops any airflow from going in. So right now I'm just dressing it up. I'm covering, there's some spaces there in between the cedar, so I'm covering them up and just making it look a little bit better. Now you can see it all dressed up, but you can also see the lip where I had to bring the insulation down for the cover. So having done that, now it gives me a little space there to make my roof, and so it'll sit over a little lip. And here I am just building the base of it again with the pocket jig from Craig. Used it again, and building the base, and from that we'll build the rest of the roof. Now unfortunately with this roof, when I do put my honey supers on, I'll have to use my square roofs that I kept, because this sits on the outside of the boxes. That might have to be a redesign with version 3. Now I like to do a pitched roof instead of a straight roof or a flat roof. I just like this better for water running off. I also like it for aesthetics. Just makes it look better. I also have a whole bunch of cedar siding that I've gotten from jobs that I can use to build the roof with, so I don't have to put any stain or paint or anything like that. I may decide to paint it down the road if it fades quite a bit, but we'll see. And here am I just putting in the supports for the roof and getting them all in. And then after that, I got to dress up the front here with some more red cedar. I had a little bit left over, just enough that I got the whole front done in red cedar. And then you can see the cedar siding that I got from a house, and I'm using that for the roof. And then the last part on the roof, to do a rooftop, I just used a piece of pressure treated. I didn't have any cedar in 2x4. Maybe I did. Maybe this is a cedar 2x4. And I cut a notch in it, and that's going to sit on top and then stop any rain from going down. Now we have the insulation for the winter. This is a square that fits inside. Once we close the bees up, I'll shut that little hole, and then that'll go inside. Then on top of that will be some pillowcases full of shavings, and this is my piece for the back that I have been saving. And again, look at those nails. I forgot to clip them, so I did in the end. And that'll fit right inside there, nice and snug, and keep the bees nice and warm in the winter and stop them from working that hard. And the last thing I do here is I have a brander with my logo on it, so I'm heating it up with a blowtorch. I try to put it on each piece, so on the top, on the middle, and on the bottom, and I brand it in so I know it's mine. Not that tons of people come around my house, but it looks pretty cool. I like it a lot. A buddy of mine made that for me. He's a teacher in shop class. Now we'll do a little walkthrough. So you have the front entrance here. Right now it's closed for winter. I do have a little hook on it that keeps it open for the summertime, just so it doesn't fall down from the wind or rain or whatever. And in the back here, again, there's the winter protection. In summertime, we just take that out, put it aside, and I mark everything with the numbers so I know which hive it goes in. And then there's my cafeteria tray. Diatomaceous earth will go on that. Catch lots of garbage from the bees and mites and hopefully some beetles. And here's the top with the insulation inside for the winter time. We can pull that out, and there's the top box. That's where I'll feed in the fall. In the summer, it'll be gone, and I'll have honey supers on there, so we can take that off. And there's my top lid, which can be flipped over to feed just like that, or the other way when I can close it or vent it. When I have the feeders on, it's upside down, and I just set the feeder. And there you can see my cafeteria tray with the bee mesh. And right now you're going to see my double frames. There I go, I put one in. And that's just so you don't have to take two boxes apart. It's a full-size frame and then a honey super frame put together. And I find 10 frames is enough, and 10 frames fit inside this hive. And there she goes, back together. Nice and easy. I guess the only downfall of this hive, there is a little bit of weight to it. But look at it this way. I don't think it's going to blow over in the winter. It hasn't yet. And nobody's going to steal it because it's too heavy. And it's sturdy. And there's the end result. So once again, the reason I did this was because I was losing bees in the winter, and I feel that it was from moisture was my main issue. I was having a moisture issue. And by doing an insulated hive, I feel that the bees can work less in the winter to stay warm, so they'll use less resources, and they don't have to work as hard also in the summer to keep the hive cool because of the insulation. So that's it. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, like, subscribe. And once again, we are Black Walnut Farm, and mostly everything I do is to reuse, recycle, reduce, and save some money. All right, have a good night. And one last thing, you can see my version 1. It's the one on the right, and my version 2 are the two on the left. And you can see how the upper box sits inside, and on the new ones it sits over top, and much easier access and better design. You can also see that the top box on version 1 is not insulated either.